Hello, this is Claus Jensen presenting Game 5 of the 2010 World Chess Championship match. And today Topalov had the white pieces and the game followed exactly the same line in the Slav defense as in Game 3, which was the only draw in the match so far. So the game started d4, d5, c4, c6, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, d takes c4, a4, bishop f5, knight e5, e6, f3, c5, e4, bishop g6, bishop e3, c takes d4, queen takes d4, queen takes d4, bishop takes d4, knight f to d7, knight takes d7, knight takes d7, bishop takes c4, a6, and rook c1. And as in Game 3, both players have almost blitzed through the first opening moves and will reach this position where Anand in Game 3 played the novelty rook g8. And the questions in this position is, of course, has Topalov found anything against this move, rook g8, and does Anand dare playing it again? And to answer the latter question first, Anand trusts his novelty from Game 3 and plays rook g8 again. And the idea behind this move is the development plan bishop d6, then king e7, and then the rook can go to c8, and f6 can be played, and then the bishop can go to f7 or e8. Because in this line, the bishop on g6 is the problem piece, you could say, for black. As we saw in the Game 3, then h4 was played from Topalov, and in Game 3, h6 was the response from Anand, and then later h5 followed, and the bishop was forced back to h7, from where it was very hard for Anand to activate this bishop. He had to remove his rook first and play bishop g8 and then f7 and then e8 and then d7 before he could activate this bishop. So in this game, Anand decides to play h5 instead. And I'm sure that not only had Anand prepared this novelty rook g8, but he had of course also prepared different lines after rook g8, and I'm sure that h5 is one of those lines prepared before the match. Topalov here plays knight e2, clearly intending knight f4, which is of course attacking the bishop on g6, but also attacking this pawn on h5 if the bishop should retreat to h7. So a very logical move. Bishop d6 is of course sticking to the development plan I spoke of just before, and the nice thing is that it is also preventing bishop f4, so a very easy move for Anand. But bishop e3, Topalov is insisting on playing knight f4, and in this position ideally Anand would like to play f6, but this fails of course because the pawn on e6 would be hanging. So Anand had to think a little here, and while he was thinking, then came the blackout. And I'm not talking about a blackout from Anand or from Topalov, but from the military club in Sofia, Bulgaria, where this game is played. The lights simply went out. There was no electricity in the building, so big drama in the fifth game of the World Chess Championship match. Fortunately, playing was resumed fairly quickly, and Anand played knight e5 with the idea of protecting the bishop on g6 after knight f4, and then he can simply play rook c8 and bishop b3, then rook takes c8, bishop takes c8, and king e7, king e2, rook c8, and now part of the development plan for Anand has succeeded. The only thing missing is this bishop still. Topalov plays bishop d2 here, planning bishop c3, which would shut down the c file for the black rook. And I think if Topalov succeeds in playing bishop c3 here, he would have this long-term small advantage, because this bishop is on g6 is not very good for Anand, and Anand would have no counterplay by activating his rook on the second rank here. So this would be a chance for Topalov in the game. But then Anand came up with an incredible move, I think, in a somewhat difficult position in a World Chess Championship match. He plays f6 here, which is a great move, because it gives air to this bishop that we have been speaking about all game. But it also sacks a pawn, because this e6 pawn is now attacked twice by these two light pieces and only protected once by the king. So can the pawn be taken? And what Anand saw was that the bishop takes e6, rook c2 is activating this rook, and also threatening the b2 pawn would be sufficient compensation for Anand. And knight takes e6, then bishop f7, knight d4, bishop takes b3, knight takes b3, and again rook c2 would be sufficient for Anand. So in the game, Topalov decided to play knight takes g6 instead, and this is already a small victory for Anand, getting rid of this bishop. Knight takes g6, g3, knight e5, f4, knight c6, bishop c3, bishop b4, exchanging another piece, bishop takes b4, knight takes b4, rook d1, and at this point I think both players could have agreed on a draw, but according to the self-instated Sofia rules by Topalov, this is of course not an option. So play continues, knight c6, rook d2, g5, king f2, g4, rook c2, rook g8, king e3, rook d6, rook c5, knight b4, and here rook takes h5, of course fails to rook d3 check. Rook c7 follows instead, king g8, rook c3, king e7, e5, rook d7, e takes f6, king takes f6, king e2, knight c6, king e1, knight d4, bishop d1, a5, rook c5, knight f5, rook c3, knight d4, rook c5, knight f5, and for the second game in the match we have a draw through repetition. So Anand repeated his novelty from game 3 and tried h5 instead of h6 to prevent this bishop from being chased to h7, and Anand succeeded, and after the very nice f6 move he had no problems getting a draw. So after 5 games Anand leads 3-2, and I hope you enjoyed this game, and I hope to see you on my blog at klausjensen.com. Bye bye for now.